Lizards actually have a special sensor on their head, and some will even call it a third eye. Though it's not a real eye, and the fact that they can't see out of it, they do use it to sense heat and light. So I've been noticing a lot of men slander on TikTok lately. So let's talk about the time thousands of young Japanese women flocked and swooned over a gorilla's enclosure. Shibani, the gorilla that lived at the Tokyo Zoo. Apparently, a lot of young men in Tokyo stopped wanting to date people and wanted to study more for their classes or whatever weird Japanese stuff. So apparently the women there got desperate and ended up falling in love with this gorilla, which even shocked the zoo itself. Apparently, at its height, there were at least 100 Japan women admiring this gorilla at all times. Young women love this gorilla so much, they even swapped pictures of Shibani on Twitter, which looked something like this. And at one point, there were so many women admiring this gorilla that even the gorilla started to not like its attention. The gorilla doesn't go outside as much because he's scared of all the women outside of his enclosure drooling over him. Now, luckily, the hype kind of died down, so Shibani went from scared and afraid and hiding all the time back to his weird, smelly ape self. And that's the story of Shibani. The smelly ape that got more girls than you ever will.
Recent rainfalls in Texas, acid-shooting land lobsters are being spotted.
No, not really. First of all, those supposed land lobsters are actually called vinegaroons. They look like this. Yeah, I know, they look terrifying, but they're actually totally docile towards people. Their pedipalps, or mouth claws, actually are used to feed food into its mouth. They can't really pinch all that hard, and unless you're around there trying to pick it up, it really can't do any damage to you. Second of all, unlike what all these news sources are telling you, they don't actually spray acid. It's actually a mix of 85% vinegar and water. If it gets in your eye, it might, sting a little bit, and it might irritate your skin, but other than that, it's not really going to do anything to you. Which is actually why they're called vinegaroons. They spray a vinegar substance. And there's no mysterious reason why they're coming out of their burrows. You literally say after rain falls. Their burrows got flooded, so they left them to go make new ones. Don't go out of your way to kill them, because they're totally docile as long as you leave them alone. Follow me for more animal content. Alright, Vegan231, let me explain. I don't know why this person is just talking about wanting to eat meat. Let me answer your question about why farmers take away baby cows. It's because cows are terrible mothers. Leaving a baby calf with its mother is pretty much a death sentence for the calf. Sometimes the mother cow just won't feed her baby. One time, a cow just left their baby, didn't even clean off the afterbirth, just kind of left it to freeze. Luckily, the farmer saved the baby, and it only had slight frostbite, but you get the point. They'll sit on their babies. One time, one tried to even eat their baby. Didn't go through. Farmer saved it still. Also, because of the way the cows have been bred over the years, even if they did take to their children and gave them milk, baby cows drink maybe 2 to 4 gallons of milk a day, when the mother cows produce 10 gallons of milk a day. And if you let that milk sit in there, it's most likely going to get infected and the cow will die. So it's not like it's stealing milk from the baby. The cow's still going to have extra milk. So cows literally need to be milked. It's not rocket science. You can figure this stuff out. You should do your research before making claims, and you should follow me for more animal-related content. What is the rarest animal? That would be the Vaquita, with only 19 individuals being left in the wild. Why are Vaquita going extinct? Well, the answer, as to many things, is people. More specifically, people using gill nets. Pretty much get a big old rectangular net, put some weights in the bottom, some floaties on the top, nail it in the ground, fish will run into it, they get caught on it. After a couple days, reel that boy in and boom, you laughing. Sadly, Vaquita are getting caught in these things and dying, a lot. And just in case you start getting sad at this fact, don't worry, gill nets are also killing things like sea turtles, and a lot of species of shark. But let's talk more about Vaquitas themselves. Vaquitas are generally around 100 to 120 pounds, generally get around 5 feet lengthwise. And yes, they're genetically always smiling, which is adorable. They're like sea pandas, but more endangered. When I looked up gill netting, there's actually a surprising amount of people wanting to make gill nets and trying to buy gill nets. So if you gill net, I just want to let you know, you deserve the death penalty. Fun facts about camels, because that's what the wheel landed on. Camels actually have 3 sets of eyelids, which helps keep sand out of their eyes during sandstorms. Camels also have extremely thick lips, similar to Kim Kardashian's, but less plastic. The reason why they have these thick lips is to help them with foraging. Camels can carry up to 900 pounds on their back. Almost as much as your... If camels are really scared by something, they can actually run it up to 40 miles per hour. Camels can also store up to 80 pounds of fat they can last off of for months. Almost as much fat as your... Fun facts about the Arctic fox, because that's what we'll pick for today. Arctic foxes can actually live in temperatures as low as negative 70 degrees Celsius. Almost as cold as your father was when he left you. Arctic foxes are actually monogamous animals, meaning that they actually mate for life, unlike your father. And Arctic foxes actually change their coat in the summer. While in the colder seasons, like winter, in the colder months they have a beautiful white coat, about as white as your friend named Tanner. But then in the hotter months, like summer, they change from a Tanner to a Tyrone. Follow me for more animal facts.
Wake your ass up, because it's time to go beast mode.
People were asking what this animal was, so let's talk about it. This is an axolotl, or where vet technicians go to die. Before we get into that disgusting part of the axolotl, let's talk about their different colors. This is the albino. This is the wild type that you'd find inside of a lake. And this right here is the golden kind. However, this is where we get into chemicals. Have you had your fun with your regular old axolotl? Well, inject it with chemicals and you get a glow-in-the-dark axolotl. You see, axolotls can regenerate any part of their body, even pieces of their brain. So when you inject them with chemicals, it can actually just become a part of the axolotl itself, and they can live perfectly natural lives being injected with certain chemicals. Which is why you can make disgusting deformities. But hey, are you getting bored of your axolotl because it only lives in the water? Well, inject it with iodine and you get this thing. It's almost like Pokemon, but, you know, more terrifying. But is forcefully evolving your axolotl not enough for you? Then maybe get yourself a firefly axolotl. A firefly axolotl is where, while the axolotl is still in the embryo, you take off one's tail and then attach another tail, which makes the axolotl half one axolotl and half the other axolotl. And that's probably one of the most unnatural animals out there. That's it from me today. Follow me for animal content. Love you guys. Peace out. Polar bears and grizzly bears have been mating with each other in the wild, creating a new kind of bear called the Pizzly bear. This is mainly due to climate change and the difference in environments becoming a lot smaller than it used to be. So that's pretty cool, I guess. Follow me for animal content. Pizzly bear. It's actually very interesting on how and why we can do this, and this actually is a thing that occurs naturally. Let's talk about why this happens in nature and how it happens in nature. First off is why this happens. This mainly occurs in apex predators, especially ones that live in large forests or jungles. So say they're stalking some prey and they're watching them, but then a leaf gets in the way. Well, if they're not able to see past that leaf, then they're probably going to end up going hungry. Which is why if you grab something like your finger and you put it in front of your face, you can actually, it'll duplicate in it too and you can see what's in the middle of it. Almost like X-ray vision in kind of a weird way. And therefore the predator can see through the leaf and therefore track the prey efficiently. Now let's talk about how this happens. It happens because of something called the blind spot. It's the way our eyes process light. Our eye is structured, we have 2 photoreceptors up here and 2 below here. Because our photoreceptors are on the back, the optic nerve has to go through them both, which means that any light that lands on the optic nerve, we cannot see.
You see, lobsters don't die of old age. And if given the perfect conditions and assistance when
Wow. That might be the most untrue thing I've ever heard. Jesus Christ, no, lobsters aren't immortal. It doesn't matter how perfect the water is or how many shells they take off of the lobster. Eventually, the lobster stops shedding. It just totally stops shedding its shell. And once that happens, the lobster's shell decays, and so does the lobster itself. And even if it could keep on molting, alright, its cells would start to decay because its cells can't keep on rebuilding themselves. Eventually, the cells tire out. The brain, the heart, they all tire out and they can no longer keep going. So it dies. That's like saying if a human never got cancer or any old age symptoms at all, it would never die. It's just not true. The fact that a 13-year-old is proving a scientist wrong and a cult wrong is hilarious to me. Follow me for animal content. I'm leaving. Let's talk about the story of Cheeto and Poncho. Cheeto was a Costa Rican fisherman, but one day he found a crocodile that had been shot in the head. Well, he took the creature back home in his boat and ended up bringing it back to health, feeding it 60 pounds of fish and chicken every week. He even gave Poncho hugs and kisses every day. After all of that, he went to go release Pocho back into the wild. And by all means, it should have been where the story ended. But then the next morning when Cheeto woke up, Pocho apparently had followed him home. And from that, they lived on. In fact, he and the crocodile spent so much time swimming together that his first wife actually left him. But luckily, he found a second wife and they lived on. However, finally, 22 years later, Pocho ended up passing away. And to this day, you can still see Pocho's taxidermied remains in a museum. And that's the story of Cheeto, the Costa Rican fisherman who ended up becoming friends with a crocodile. If you like animal content, please follow me. That's it for me. Peace out.
Apparently, crocodiles are immortal and don't die of old age. They simply get big.
Not true. Not even remotely true. Jesus Christ. No, crocodiles are not immortal. They live for like 50 to 60 years. Their growing slows down a lot once they turn 15 years old. And after like 20 or 25 years, they pretty much stop growing entirely. The fact that people believe that crocodiles are immortal is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. There is not an immortal animal except for the immortal jellyfish, but that animal is so extremely simple that it doesn't even have a brain. It's such a simple animal that it's able to revert back to an earlier stage of its life whenever it gets old or, tries to get eaten or whatever. But other than that jellyfish, there are almost no immortal animals, and crocs are definitely not immortal. So that person needs to stop spreading misinformation, and you should follow me for more animal-related content. Love you guys. He said no. I give a logical explanation as to why what he says is not true, and he responds with no. If he just, didn't respond at all, didn't even care, that would be fine. But he had to say no. So let's go into the science behind crocodiles dying of old age. They are not immortal. Did you try Googling it at all? Look, right here, first thing that pops up. Crocodiles are not immortal. However, they do not have a defined lifespan, meaning that we don't know exactly how long they do live for in the wild. But they must be immortal some way. No, they're not. They do not have a defined lifespan, means that we do not know how long they live for in the wild. Humans, us, do not have a defined lifespan, alright? It's still very much a mystery to how long humans generally live. Does that mean that humans are immortal and don't die? No! Crocodiles do die of old age, alright? Same way that we do. Because of a little thing called cell deterioration. The longer an organism lives, the more damaged its cells become and the more harder to repair they are. And once the animal's at a certain age where it can't regenerate itself anymore, it starts to decay and die. Now, it's true that crocodiles don't generally die of old age because they die from other ailments before. But if nothing kills them, after 100 years or so, they will die. How are you going to respond to this? You're just going to say no again? Just no. Just no. Even though I just explained thoroughly that alligators and crocodiles do die of old age, I expect this creator to apologize to me and either take down this video or delete this ignorant-ass comment. So this person should apologize, and you should follow me for more animal-related content. Love you guys. Peace out. This is my prized possession. This dog over here is a blue-nosed pit bull with Staffordshire bloodlines in him, but he also has the canines of a golden retriever. Perfect family dog, perfect size, and is a beautiful companion. I found my cat in the dumpster, he's black and white. I paid $500 to get this beautiful boy. What breed is yours? Oh yeah, his name is Bingus, he's black and white. Yeah, so Australia never fought in a war against emus. There wasn't much food in Australia, since that the animals wanted to kill you, and the ground was dumb. So, they grew wheat, and emus loved wheat. And because emus are ginormous, and with one kick could probably break your arm, people pressed the government until the government was like, alright, screw it, we hate this, let's send out some military soldiers. So they sent out only two military soldiers. They gave them a couple thousand rounds of ammunition and some guns, and just said, kill all the emus. And they tried and failed. First time they tried, they just kind of went out there, snuck up, and just shot at them. But because emus are in giant hordes, they showed a couple bullets at the emus, they'd all run away, and they'd only end up killing like 1 or 2 emus. And most of the time, the emus would just bite a bullet and then leave, because bullets didn't really affect them that much. Tried it for a couple more days, failed every single time. So the soldiers were like, screw it, and they just attached a machine gun on top of their truck and just shot at the emus from up there. However, like I said, even though the bullets were being spread across the emus, a lot of the emus would just bite a bullet and leave. They only ended up having like 1,000 confirmed emu deaths by the end of the whole thing. Eventually, Australia was like, screw it, this is too hard, so they stopped. Until the farmers were like, hey, we're kind of starving out here, do something. So Australia was like, okay, screw it, and they put out a small cash bounty for the emus. So you'd kill an emu, turn it into the Australian government, they'd give you some money for it. So people all around Australia started slaughtering emus until there were so little emus that they had to stop giving out the cash prizes. And that's the whole story. It wasn't really a war. There was 2 soldiers that probably stuck to their job anyways. And Australia did win at the end of the day, because Australia came together and said screw it, and they just slaughtered them all. So, no, it wasn't a war, and no, they did not lose. No, I'm afraid to say that your dog's just brain dead, kind of like the kid who sits in the back of the class and wears hoodies all the time. If any object is coming towards any animal, it means that the dog will flinch as a response. Animals will close their eyes as the first thing they do, because their eyes are one of the most important things that they can see through things in the wild. Next, they'll pull their ears back and then scrunch their face up so that they can retain less damage. Because when you scratch your face up, it's putting more and more against the thing that's coming at you. It's a completely natural response. And the fact that your dog isn't reacting to a punch at all is probably more animal abuse than somebody actually hitting their animal. Imagine that dog is in the wild, a wolf's coming at it, or a bear, or a tiger is coming at it, and it just sits there looking at it like, ooh, you want to play? Then it gets mauled to death. Seriously, it's a natural response. If your dog doesn't do it, it's probably defective. Either try turning it off and on, putting in new batteries, or throwing it out and get a new one. If you generally think that someone's an animal abuser because their animal flinches, then I think that you're probably more stupid than the person who made this post in the first place. Follow me for more animal content. Love you guys.
I'm just a little guy and it's my birthday. Come on, I'm a little birthday boy.
Celebrate Peter turning 1 year old today. Let's talk about some hedgehog facts. There are 16 species of hedgehog. I personally think there's at least one hedgehog for everyone. Are you a bigger fan of dogs and cats' big ears? Try the big-eared hedgehog. Is your name Karen and do you like to blame black people for all your problems? Try the white hedgehog, aka the Aimer hedgehog. Or are you a hardcore BLM supporter? If so, maybe the Brandit's hedgehog is for you. I'm not gonna go through all of them, but just know that there are a lot. Hedgehogs have 5,000 spines on their back. Hedgehogs actually have terrible eyesight and actually use their nose to sniff out things like food and water. A pack of hedgehogs is actually called a prickle. If a hedgehog trusts you, it will actually allow you to pick it up, and it won't actually hurt your hand when you touch it. Think of it kind of like Ponyta from Pokemon. Hedgehogs in the wild will chew up their own feces and spread it all over their body as a defense mechanism. Follow me for more animal content. 3 minutes about fun facts about dogs, because the world could really use it right now. If you're ever sad or whatever, just go right over to this video. You can add it to your favorites or whatever, and you can sit here and I'll show pictures of puppies while telling you fun facts about them so you learn something. When puppies are playing, sometimes the males will let the females win just so that the females don't get bored, and so they can, have a relationship. The reason why we perceive these little pupper boys as cute is because of their small eyes and big foreheads. This actually originates from the Stone Age. Say if food was scarce and someone had a baby, well, if we didn't think that the baby was cute, then we wouldn't have it around and they'd probably just eat it. There are over 350 dog breeds, and this one's the cutest, little, he's smiling. I have a dog named Blue. He's real nice and cuddly. And I named him after the bear from the Jungle Book, because he's proportionally the size of a bear. Young puppies can spend up to 20 hours a day just sleeping away. It's actually scientifically proven that puppies actually enjoy it when you sing to them. The very first sense that puppies begin to develop is actually their sense of touch. Smaller puppies actually grow to full size sooner than bigger dogs. And smaller dogs also live longer than bigger dogs. The reason why dogs' noses are wet is because the wetness actually helps them pick up scent chemicals. The popular Beatles song, A Day in the Life, actually has a frequency in it that only dogs can hear. Follow me for more animal-related content. Puppies can actually bond to a teddy bear as if it was his mother. Baby cheetahs are naturally very nervous, which is why they actually keep puppies with baby cheetahs to help the cheetah not be, so nervous all the time. This is because puppies have a much better leader instinct, so cheetahs can follow the puppy instead of relying on itself, which helps not stress out the baby cheetah. Pugs have a lot of breathing issues because their head is shaped like a tuna can, so some people are breeding pugs with other dogs to try and make that flat tuna can head a bit more like a regular can head so that they can breathe a bit better. Border collies can learn a new trick in under 5 minutes. Puppies can't actually see anything when they're first born. They start seeing things after like a day. Look at this little guy. He's being held by a little hand. Oh man, he's above the world. They actually have training schools for puppies, just in case, you're busy at work and you can't take care of it or train it yourself. There are 9 chain restaurants that actually have snacks for dogs, too. Those restaurants being Dunkin' Donuts, Starbucks, Shake Shack, Sprinkles, Culver's, Dairy Queen, In-N-Out, Lazy Dog Restaurant and Bar, and Outback Steakhouse. Thanks for watching this video, and I hope you had a good time. No, not really. Those are just pigeons. They're not chicken pigeons. They're not a hybrid. Chickens and pigeons cannot create viable offsprings. It's like trying to combine a wolf and a giraffe. It would never work. Combining DNA is a lot harder than people think it is. You're looking at king pigeons. Pigeons that stand and walk up like chickens. They're bred for utility purposes. Mainly meat, but Aiden, king pigeons are white. And some of the chickens in that video were like gray and brown. Those are German Madonnas. More just regular pigeons, which all stem from the rock pigeon, a pigeon known for its large body. The person that made this video, you should stop spreading this information, and you should follow me for more animal-related content. Thank you for 300 followers. Peace out. This looks to me like a bristle worm. There's absolutely room for error there, I could be wrong, but it bears a striking resemblance to bristle worms, so I'm going to say that this is a bristle worm. It also tends to live close to shorelines, which makes sense considering the video, and they can also pretty much be found anywhere in the ocean. So I'm going to go with bristle worm, because that's the safest guess. Do not touch it, do not pick it up, either kill it or release it. It has a sting, and these little sections will stab you and it will hurt. Now, there are some species that will probably kill you, some species probably won't, but your safest bet here, considering there are over 1,000 species of this, is to just let it go and be safe. I hate this thing on a very personal level. I hate it and everything it stands for. I've been researching animals for over 4 years. I hate this. Like, if it was docile, maybe I'd understand a bit more, but no. It can stab you. Like, this thing will hurt you. This is like one of the one times where I'm suggesting to kill it rather than release it because I hate this. If there are any bristle worms watching this video, I understand that you're beneficial for the ocean. But I want you to know that I will never accept that you are beneficial. I want you to know that I will never see you for what you truly are. And I want you to know that if I ever see you near my shoreline, I'm running away because I don't like you, but stop.